Oh, it's actually been in the pipeline for quite a while now. I guess like last season, around sort of March and April, I'd been struggling with a few injuries and things, and then it was actually Ayr that approached me about potentially they'd hear, like if I was thinking of finishing up what I was going to do at the end of my contract with Glasgow, which ran out in the summer, and they talked to me about whether, you know, I'd be interested in getting into coaching, which is something that I've always been really passionate about. And yeah, it got me thinking. I had a good chat with my wife. I had a good chat with the coaches here at Glasgow, with, you know, people at the SRU, and we felt like it would be a great way for me to sort of transition into coaching. Yeah, my first involvement with Glasgow was, I remember being at uni at the time. I just left school, and it was Peter Wright who was in charge of our under-19s, I think it would have been, and he phoned me and asked if I'd fancy playing in a backup game for Glasgow the next day. Or he said in a backup game it was Glasgow versus Edinburgh the next day, and I was like, yeah, of course, I could love to. So I pitched up after classes, and I went along, and I thought, I don't know why, for some reason, I don't think he specified who I was playing for, and I thought I was playing for Edinburgh. So I remember arriving at Megatland in Burnamuir, and I walked in to Edinburgh's dressing room, and there was none of the players there. It was a wee bit early, but the manager was like, "You all right? You lost?" And I was like, no, I think I'm playing fullback today for Edinburgh." And he looked at the team sheet and he was like, "What's your name?" He was like, "Nah, you're in the wrong place." So I went away up to the bar, and I was like trying to phone Righty, but he wasn't picking up. And then I'd noticed that Glasgow were in, kind of all their players were having like a bit of a pre-match meal. And then they started reading out the list, and they were like, "Where's our fullback? Where's this Pete Horne?" And everyone, and I was like, "Oh, it's me." So I went over and yeah, got to introduce to some of the boys, and I was like, God, like Lomi Fatai was playing, Hefner O'Hare, like Budgie was playing, Max Evans. That was just before he sort of broke through, and I was like, God, this, you know, Donny McFadden had just come back from injury, so he was playing, and you know, you went from watching these guys on the telly kind of week in, week out, to all of a sudden being like, wow. And anyway, that, long story short, I ended up playing in that backup game. Things went quite well, and you know, I got invited in to train with Glasgow for the rest of the season, and then signed into the academy the following year. So like at the time I wasn't involved in like the academy or anything, and I got that shot with Glasgow, and a lot of those guys kind of were, and it meant that we ended up all sort of signing together. And yeah, it was awesome. You know what, like that time at the club was so special, you know, from I think, yeah, making my debut in about 2009, we had a good thing going. We started to sort of build in the right direction, and then Gregor came in, and the club just went to like a new level. You know, he really took us into that next stage, and I think the sort of squad that Sean had assembled, there was a lot of young guys that, you know, the spine of our team were just young Scottish boys, and we were just desperate. You know, everything at training was like competitive. But it was so much fun. Like I was saying, I think that whole period from up to that kind of culminated in 2015, us winning the league, it was just so special. Like away trips were brilliant. It just felt like you were, you know, going away with your mates really for the weekend. And you know, I remember just every time you get on a bus for an away trip, everyone would move to their seats, and you know, it'd be great. No one was allowed an iPad, and nobody would, you know, you weren't allowed a book, or if you put headphones on, you got chased down the front of the bus. Like, you know, it was great. We just sit up and have a good time and have a lot of fun. Yeah, I think, you know, one of my best weeks in my career, like looking back now, it was after his first cap. We'd been capped the week before, and I felt like but like the new caps, we were playing against America, and I was just gutted, like we didn't win, and I know how he's as competitive as, you know, we're very competitive and we want to win all the time, and I knew it would have just ruined his first cap. And then the following week we were rooming together in Argentina, and it was just so cool. Like the whole week was just amazing. It was so much fun. Like yeah, I remember we spent the whole week trying to win a World Cup with Scotland, playing FIFA every night, and we never actually did it on like the hardest setting on we never actually did it, sadly. But it was so much fun, you know, just like, yeah, it was amazing. It sounds ridiculous, you know, and cliche or whatever, but it was like almost like, you know, a dream come true. I'm over there on the other side of the world with my little brother. You've got so much more free time when you're younger than you do when you're 30. You know, I've got kids now, and I'm rushing home from training to, you know, be as good a dad as I can. And I think when you're 23, you've got no responsibility, you've got no care in the world, you know, so invest time in your craft and working hard to make yourself the best that you can be, the best version of yourself, so that you can't, you know, you don't want to look back and think, if I'd just done this a bit harder. You don't want to be one of those guys that tells everyone how good you could have been. And then also just invest like time in relationships. Like I said, I think rugby is about relationships. It's about forming bonds with people. So like, yeah, you've got to put in to get out, and it'll just mean you'll have so much more fun along the way. So yeah, it's pretty much me, I think.